CIDI 99.1?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Zimmerl.
And I'm Alisa Sushko.
Welcome to our studio, brought to you by CIDI 99.1.
I come from Eastern Europe. I've been doing ceramics for 5 years, I guess, but I always was drawn by some creative projects. So I started in Dawson College and I did 3 years in Concordia, major in ceramics.
Well, I've been doing art pretty much my whole life. Ever since I was a little kid, I was drawing and painting and working with plasticine, and I never stopped. It was my high school art teacher that first gave me the idea of being an artist, and I followed that advice, and it was wonderful. And so I'm a multidisciplinary artist. I paint, I do sculpture, ceramic work, some cast bronze, some wood carving, and everything offers something different. Well, I got started being an artist, I guess, in high school, where art was my favorite class above all. And my high school art teacher said, I've never told any of my students this, but you should really consider being an artist. And I finished my science deck at Vanier College, but then switched into creative arts and went to Concordia, and just kept making artwork. I'd say sort of the big professional shift was, actually I should back up and say that after I got out of Concordia, there was kind of almost a creative crisis that I had. I was preparing all this work for my master's, and I was just confronted with all my work in the studio, and I realized I didn't have any emotional attachment to it at all. And so I took a break and went and did got a teaching diploma so I could teach art. And as soon as I got into the classroom and saw the students working just for the sheer joy of it, just working intuitively, it was very liberating. So it really helped me get back to why I wanted to do art in the first place. And shortly afterwards, I joined the Tour des Arts, and it started slowly, but over many years, you build that clientele, and haven't looked back.
Me, as I remember, I did actually art school. I did some drawing when I was 10, 12, 13, because I always liked creative projects. I did macrame, I did knitting, I did drawing. I was always drawn to clay, but I had no facility, no way to throw or do something from clay. But I remember going with friends to some mining place, and we brought some clay back home and tried to do some stuff. I mean, I had any idea about clay qualities or anything, that never did any firing back then. And then I had a degree in accounting. I came to Canada, and only truly with Mark I got kind of inspired, and Mark supported me to go to Dawson School, studio arts program, and then to Concordia. And I really so grateful to Mark for that. I actually started as a major in painting and drawing, and then I switched to ceramic because that was just amazing. When I took a couple ceramic classes, I felt in love with clay. But we do some painting together. I really enjoy plein air painting. We try to go out and do, so I guess it's a part of the creative process as well. Yeah, so my art today, I basically get inspired by human figure and animals. And that's, I try to present that in clay, and I really love human figure, but I find this subject is really complex and challenging, and every time I try to do a piece, it's developing. It's a true growth and development for me. But animals, it just comes so naturally. I just love nature, so.
Well, my first love in art has always been landscape painting. So I remember being 12 years old and going to the National Gallery and seeing that little sketch room with all the little panels that the group of 7 had done. And I get goosebumps from it. So that's really my first love. If you could plunk me in a beautiful nature scene and with my panels and my paints and the time will just pass like that, I'll there's no other place I'd rather be. And that being said, I do also like doing other things. I don't like feeling limited in terms of what my subject matter can be. So sometimes it's flowers or fantastical figures. I'm also inspired by the human figure, and I also love how different it is to work with clay. How immediate it is, and all these media have call and response, and that's the fun and the challenge of it. I would say I probably chose painting first. That was sort of the artwork that it initially was the most inspiring. So whether it was a trip to the National Gallery or looking through art books, I just found the images so amazingly compelling, and the rich history of painting through art history. Anyway, it's a privilege to be part of that tradition.
I originally was drawn mostly to drawing and painting, especially like a model, a human figure. But when I took in Concordia course in ceramic, and all the staff and actually students, everybody was so in passion and in love with ceramics. The department heads, the technicians, everybody. I just loved it, so I switched right after to major in ceramics, and I took all ceramic courses possible. I guess I found my true kind of
calling.
Yeah. I mean, I still enjoy doing painting, but I feel much more creative, and I can do more and bring more in clay.
I personally don't have a personal favorite of mine. There are always sort of journeys that I appreciate in each work of art that stand out for me. They're like these little victories. Making a work of art often feels like it's like taking a walk and getting lost a little, and then realizing you're lost and trying to find your way back, and so you have all these. It's call and response, like the term I used before. You kind of make mistakes, you react to them, you take a risk somewhere else, you see if it works. If it doesn't, it's okay. That's the joy of it. You don't know what the end piece is going to be like, and you don't know what the journey will be to get you there.
I guess my favorite work of art, it's hard to name, definitely, but I'm thrilled to go to museums. I just love museums. I grew up in a culture where it's many museums and time well spent. But I love contemporary, actually, human representation, because especially when there is a classical look to it still, but with contemporary energy and dynamics, and there is a couple artists over there which I really enjoy and get inspired. I mean, I definitely, if I go to museum, I enjoy Michelangelo work, but from contemporary artists, I just recently looked at works of, I guess it's Xavier Martin. He's from Mexico. It's basically big human figures and heads with amazing energy, and they look very contemporary, but at the same time you always find reference to classic Roman face, which I really enjoy.
Yeah, it's the same thing for me. When I go to a museum and you see these paintings that you've only seen in books, and you get up close and you see the depth and just the wild application. To me, there are these magical moments, and so some of my favorite works would be for landscape paintings or seascapes. I mean, I love Homer and Bellows and Sargent. Just some spectacular, just wild brushstrokes, and yet when you back up, the image just comes together in complete soft harmony. It's amazing. Yeah.
My ritual is I try to go through some books with art pieces. I love books. Right now I have some books of Fetchin open. I have my favorite pieces. Sometimes I take screenshots and load it in my computer if I can book next to me. It's very important for me because it helps you to be creative. Like I see the piece, I see how he applied the paint or like the clay texture, and I go with it. I just copy sometimes like the technique, because that's how you learn, right?
I usually just make myself a coffee. Well, it's true. It's one thing, you just need to sort of have a little bit of a routine just to get yourself into the studio. That's the main thing, is just get yourself in front of your materials, and then the rest kind of takes care of itself. But I mean, we love our structured art trips. I mean, we basically go to locations, to have art vacations. And we take workshops. A favorite location of ours is Keegan Island off the coast of Maine. COVID has prevented us for almost 2 years now from going there, so we're definitely looking forward to going there, and we take workshops with other artists. We find that really inspiring, and you don't need much of an excuse to go and do art.
Yeah, I guess because we don't see people. I love interacting with people and tell them more about clay, about the process. I love talking about the process. I love showing more, I guess, even than talking. So definitely human interaction and people coming in the studio, and because sometimes people you talk to people and they give you ideas what next you might make or do. Like if they want something and you're like, oh, that's a good idea. So I guess that's very important to have people in the studio, and it's just another inspiration for me.
And unfortunately, COVID shut that down completely last year. Our main art tour was canceled completely. We were used to, during that tour, having a couple hundred people come by every day, and for the entire year we had maybe a dozen visitors total. And so we're really looking forward to things opening up again, and having people come into the studio, and we, like Alisa said, we really enjoy that interaction. It's always fun to hear other people's interpretations of our work, and to see the responses. It's wonderful when someone really appreciates what you do, and we look forward to having that just come on full force again. The advice that I could give someone who's entering in this career is to be patient, and also to be true to yourself. Overnight success is very rare in this business, and so I don't think most artists get into this career because they have aspirations of big dollar signs or Ferraris. But if you get into it because you enjoy the process, and you enjoy the challenge of working creatively, then that's already a great start. If you take your time and bring a body of work together that has a collective cohesion, people will appreciate it, and as more and more people appreciate it, you'll build your clientele, and that's how it worked for me. I'm a little bit unique in terms of most artists. I don't have any gallery representation, and so I do everything direct to client, which is a relationship that I really value and enjoy. But I've been on the Tour des Arts, for example, for over 25 years now. So it's a long process to build up your clientele. So patience is definitely a trait you will need to have.
Yeah, I think that my advice would be patience, discipline, and you really have to love and believe in the message you want to bring to people, and be true to yourself and to the subject and to your audience. And definitely, I think the true artist should believe in the message he can bring, and if you believe in what you do and what you can bring in or improve the world or bring more love, bring more beauty, it's a good step forward. And definitely you should enjoy and love what you do. I really like time spent doing clay piece. It just flies by. So it's.
But even if we didn't sell another piece ever, we wouldn't stop, let's say, going to the seashore and painting amongst the rocks and the waves. I mean, it's just such an incredible experience. We're on a high while we're doing it. And so I think that's the part that if you're engaged in art making or you want to be doing art making, that's what you need to tap into, and you'll be happy. Well, in person, our studios are always open by appointment, and our main show every year is the Tour des Arts, happening in July. And although we don't really use our websites as sales vehicles, where our recent work or past work can be seen on our websites. You can find our work on the Tour des Arts on Facebook and Instagram. Did I forget something?
No.
I would like to acknowledge the support of the Official Language Minority Community Media Consortium and the Government of Canada for the Community Media Strategic Support Plan.